What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bodacious Rant with Burn and Rye. I hope everybody's been doing great, having great weekends and whatnot. We're almost done with spring, going into summer soon. But today we are talking about a movie that has been teased, I would say, for a while, because I remember the trailers came out sometime last year, and it was one of those things I'm like, what happened to this movie? And I don't know if it was necessarily affected by the writers or something strike like that, but it finally dropped, and that is probably a movie that's gonna be on a lot of people's radars, mostly because of the main star Zendaya, and that is the newest movie, Challengers. And this is non-spoiler review as always, so please do not forget to give us a like if you do enjoy the video, ring the bell, and of course subscribe. We do appreciate you all. Also, to those who have tuned into Shogun, thank you so much. Keep checking that out. If you are catching up to the show, we're almost done with it, because like I said, feel free to comment on this movie or this video or the other videos just to keep the conversations going. But let's get started, shall we? So, this movie takes place within the last few years. It's based in 2019, and essentially it's the story of a love triangle. But the main star is Zendaya, who plays Tashi Duncan, who is probably one of the most influential, probably the best athlete in tennis, according to the movie. Again, not like Venus or Serena Williams or anything. I'm sure they took inspiration from it, but and she meets these two guys, Art Donaldson and Paul Zweig, who are played by Mike Faist and Josh O'Connor. Let me check. I'm sorry. Josh O'Connor. And then Mike Faist, he's actually going to be in the newer movie Bike Riders. I think he's been in a couple other things, but stuff I'm not too familiar with, so can't speak.
Yeah, he was in West Side Story, that Steven Spielberg did a couple years ago. And he was fantastic in that, so it's cool to see him in more stuff.
Good. And that's I knew he was in that one. I just never saw it, so I didn't want to claim he was in that one or say I was remember him. But so essentially she meets them and gets into a very toxic and very competitive love triangle with them. So I would say it's definitely LGBTQ friendly with certain scenes and the characters. And honestly, this gave me a lot of just good sport movie vibes. She kind of reminded me of I forgot the actor's name, but he played Booby Miles in Friday Night Lights, where they were at the top of their game. They had so much potential, but due to a altering injury, they just couldn't get past it. It's a little bit different because this takes place in a more modern situation, but it's a good story nonetheless. And yeah, while I wasn't really looking forward to this movie necessarily, this took me by surprise. It was definitely a weirder movie, but honestly, Zendaya is the star.
Yeah, this was also one that was a little bit under my radar. I do remember, I think it was actually supposed to release at the tail end of last year, and then I think, it was one of those movies that got pushed because of the writer and then actor strikes that were going on. So again, like one of those where I was like, this could be pretty fun. Don't really know what to expect. The movie's definitely, from the trailers, pushing that sort of like love triangle thing in the midst of, like a sports movie. So it's like, okay, this could be like pretty interesting. And this one also took me by surprise, and I came away surprised about how much I really enjoyed it. The way that you describe this movie as weird is definitely apt. I think this movie does take some pretty fun and unexpected swings. Pardon the pun, but look, it's very non-traditional, non-linear in its storytelling. Jumping back and forth between different points in time. Tracking these three characters at different points as well, and seeing how their relationship evolves over time, and how things get messy, and how things get better between them. Just definitely tracking these three individuals, and also in a way giving us three different examples of what a challenger or what a competitor is. You have three different people at three different points in their careers, and we're getting to see like that sort of ideas sort of explored through them. Like when you have these incredible athletes, what do they look like at different points? So I thought that was really interesting to tie that into the sports element of it, and while also having that sort of toxic love triangle thing going on between all of them. So it was very interesting, both like with on and off the court type of stuff. Usually with sports movies, sometimes it could, be one or the other, where the personal drama is more interesting than the actual, the sports that it's depicting. But in this one, I think they were both had that sort of equal footing, and that I was interested the entire time in exploring these characters and who they are and what they mean to each other, while simultaneously saying like, oh, okay, like how are they as competitors on the tennis court. So going jumping back and forth between those things was really cool and really fun.
Yeah, I will. The again, the person that stood out to me the most was Zendaya. This woman has really managed to reinvent herself with every character she's done, whether it be Tashi Duncan in this movie, or Chani in Dune Part Two, or MJ from the Spider-Man movies. It's like she's really showing her range, and and while I hated her character and what that character did, because she's a an apex predator in this movie, not in like a how do I put this? Not necessarily like a sexual way, but just like she has one directive, she has one passion, which was tennis, and she shows that throughout the entire movie. And man, it's some of the scenes when they're cold, they are chilling, like where I'm just like, damn, this hurts me, and I'm not even involved. You kind of put yourself in those shoes of those situations, and it's incredible. Just incredible acting all around. Not that the other two guys didn't do a great job, and I know it's about all three of them, but really she takes center stage and really leads. She really drives the story, and yeah, just amazing work by them. Before I give my ranting, it's one of those things that the characters, they were borderline unlikable just because some of the things they did. But again, these are all people who were obsessed with the sport and each other to a certain extent. And sometimes if you're that good of an athlete, there may be that person that you drive to try and do better, or if you want to be the best at that sport or occupation, that becomes your life. That's your drive. And I think this movie did a great job with that. Some of the editing and the shots, I would say, like the cinematography, a little jarring and a little interesting decision making. So it's not my preference for a movie like this, but I'm still giving it a 4 out of 5 despite all that, because like a worthy adversary, or someone you may hate but they're good at what they do, I respect it. This is one of those movies that I respect, just for what they did and how it was done. Would I recommend it to everybody? Sort of. It's definitely a niche movie in my opinion, just because the way it was done and everything. It's going to be hit and miss for people, I think. But overall, Zendaya, again, she's the reason why you should go and see this. And I saw it in, I think I saw it in Dolby or IMAX, I forgot. But it's one of those movies that, because of how great everything looks, I think it's worth it to kind of spend a little extra money for it. But yeah, like I said, 4 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, I mean, look, Luca Guadagnino makes a lot of really interesting choices as a filmmaker. For anyone who's seen his other stuff, like Call Me by Your Name or Suspiria, it's very he's willing to make some really wild and interesting choices, and I think that very much it exemplifies the entire movie. As you mentioned, the cinematography I thought was pretty great, but yeah, even in there are certain shots that don't really feel like they fit necessarily, or sort of like take you out of the moment. So I will definitely say that. And while I do absolutely love the score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, I mean, I've been a fan of theirs for a very long time, and I don't remember if I shouted it out in our Shogun review, but Atticus Ross did have a hand in composing the score for that series, and I thought he did a fantastic job there. But yeah, I mean, in this movie, I think they knocked it out of the park. It's just more the use of it in some scenes that really took me out of it. Sometimes it felt really jarring and mixed awkwardly. I don't know if that was an intentional choice or if that was just maybe one of those things, because I did see it in IMAX, so it could have been one of those, like maybe the mix wasn't quite right. So it would be one of those things I wouldn't know unless I saw the movie again. But as a stats right now, that was a few choices here and there of the timing and the volume of the music that I had issues with, but their overall compositions I thought were absolutely fantastic. And yeah, like, I mean, what more can be said about these three central characters? I thought they were fantastic across the board. Like you mentioned, Zendaya. It's cool to see her range in this one. Going from the movies that people are more familiar with her. With the Spider-Man movies and then the Dune movies. To see her continue to elevate as a performer has been really really good, and I think this is one of the best roles that she's had for sure in this character. Just so much depth and so much to like it to hate with this character that it's just so dynamic and interesting. And yeah, look, Meg Face and Josh O'Connor, I thought were really great playing off of her and off of each other. Again, giving us three different perspectives on what different competitors are and what that does. When you don't know whether to put the people in front of you or to put the sport in front of you, and how that sort of tangles your lives together and makes things very messy. This is a very messy movie. This is a very horny movie, like I told you coming out of this. But in terms of the explicitness, there isn't a lot of explicitness in this movie, which is surprising. And I thought it was a very unique choice to not let that be the thing that takes over the narrative of the movie. So I thought they did a fantastic job with that. So yeah, look, this one for me is also going to be a 4 out of 5. Surprisingly, one of my favorite movies of the year. I don't know necessarily where I'd rank it as of now, but I'm sure by the time July comes, I'll have that a little bit more cemented. But I had a great time at the theaters with this one.
Yeah, and then that's awesome. I'm glad it was a movie we both enjoyed. I was a little on the fence about this one because I like sports movies. Zendaya's great, and it looked solid, but it was definitely more on the artsy side. But again, pleasant surprise for me. So I did enjoy it. But for those of you who did happen to see this last weekend, let us know what you thought about it in the comments. We love to keep the conversation going. And yeah, until next time, everyone, stay bodacious and just keep on ranting for us.
Absolutely, everybody. Be good, be safe, and as always, we'll catch y'all on the next one.